Now, Jubilee, Jonathan Cahn and we agree that Jubilee should happen every 49 years. Yes, it's the 50th year, but the 50th year overlaps with the first year of the next 49-year cycle. And if you look at all of the Shemitahs there, if you're looking for a Jubilee, you should be looking for a year after a Shemitah year to be your Jubilee. So with this many years, we ought to have had a Jubilee based on this idea. So what about Israel being reborn? Could that have been a Jubilee year? Well, no, it sort of falls. It doesn't fall in the right year. It fell in the middle of a Shemitah cycle. But what about the Six-Day War and Jerusalem being reunited? Well, look, that falls right in the middle of one of these first years that falls after the Shemitah. It's right in here. By the way, we didn't invent this. Jonathan, this has been talked about in various places. Jonathan Cahn had it in his book. So we're not departing from him at all. We totally agree. And if you go back and you look 49 years earlier to this, that was a very interesting year as well. It was the year, the Jewish year of the Balfour Declaration, where the British cabinet said we shall take our best efforts to establish a homeland for the Jews. 5 weeks later, General Allenby from the British Army captures Jerusalem from the Ottoman Empire, takes it away from them after 500 years. Jerusalem now comes under the control of the British Army, but not for their own sake, for the purpose of establishing a homeland for the Jews. That happened on this particular year. If you go forward from this 49 years and then 49 years, you get to this year right now, the new year, the year we just started on September 14th. And on September 28th, there was a blood moon visible in Israel in a Jubilee year. The only one of the 4 blood moons that was visible in a Jubilee year. I was in Jerusalem and got a photographer friend to go with me and get at the exact same location that this photographer took the picture of General Allenby walking in the Jubilee year. And we set up our camera and we took photographs of the blood moon, which was in the western sky, also right over the Jaffa Gate in the Old City. You want to see the picture? Isn't that amazing? Look, we knew it would be over the Jaffa Gate. It sort of is angling down and to the right as it comes, and it ends up touching right there when it comes down. But one of the photographs was right where the old clock tower was in 1917. So that's just so cool. And so the blood moon here, this last blood moon, happens to be in a Jubilee year. What does Jubilee stand for? What is Jubilee all about? It's a Shemitah. It's a rest year again. So it's the only time you have 2 rest years in a row. We're in a rest year again. And not that the Jews are keeping it, because they don't keep the Jubilee. They don't. But God does. And so the Jubilee is a time of restoration of people to their land and to their families. That's what Jubilee is about. And so we need to be looking over these next 12 months. What is God going to restore to Israel, to the land of Israel? What piece of ground is so in the past it's been related to Jerusalem, very much so related to Jerusalem, the defining moments. Well, do you know what happened on the last day of the Shemitah year on Elul 29? You know, there wasn't a big stock market drop on Elul 29 or anything. But you know what happened? There was a riot at the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount. And the very next day, as a response, 500 Jews took their right to get up and go up on the Temple Mount. They don't go for long, and I've been up there. You get up there for about 3 minutes, and then they send you. But still, 500 people, 500 Jews went up onto the Temple Mount. Look what's happened. Could it be that there's something related to the Temple Mount? Jubilee years aren't necessarily peaceful, but the result of them is a restoration. So that's what I think we can think about with regard to Israel. And there's some other ideas, some other things that God might restore we talk about in the book. But there's something also for us who are not in Israel, because every time God restores something to the nation of Israel, there is an overflow to the rest of the world. And that's what we get to partake in. And we as Christians, as believers in Yeshua, we have the opportunity to stand in the gap, not only pray for Israel, but to bring forth and call in a Jubilee. For us, proclaim freedom throughout our land. I know some people who would like some freedom. I know some people who are stuck in addictions. I know some relationships that are totally broken that need to be restored. How about some revival? How about some awakening? You know, this awakening in America that we've been praying for years. What about this year, Lord? Would you do it this year, even as you restore the fortunes of Jacob in the land of Israel? Would you overflow and bring in your Spirit across us in this land?